Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever stopped to wonder about the incredible, almost unfathomable power contained within your own skull? The human brain, a squishy 3-pound organ, is arguably the most complex object in the known universe. And today, we're diving deep into one of its most mind-boggling mysteries, its storage capacity and how we form, retain, and retrieve memories. Prepare to have your mind blown. The brain, a universe. Within, imagine a library so vast it could hold every book ever written, every song ever composed, every movie ever filmed, and still have room to spare. Now, imagine that library is inside your head. The human brain, with its estimated 86 billion neurons, is not just a sophisticated computer. It's a living, breathing universe of information. Each neuron, an electrical marvel, can connect to thousands of others, creating a network of staggering complexity. We're talking about quadrillions of connections, or synapses. This intricate web is where all your thoughts, feelings, skills, and memories reside. For decades, scientists have grappled with the question of just how much information this biological supercomputer can store. Early estimates were often conservative, but as our understanding of neural plasticity and synaptic strength has grown, the numbers have become truly astronomical. Think of it this way. If a single synapse can store even a tiny bit of information, and you have quadrillions of them, the potential is almost limitless. It's not like a hard drive with a fixed gigabyte capacity. It's a dynamic, ever-changing landscape where information is encoded not just in the presence or absence of a connection, but in its strength, its frequency of firing, and even the chemical messengers it releases. The sheer scale is difficult to grasp. Some researchers propose that the brain's storage capacity could be equivalent to several petabytes, that's thousands of terabytes, or even more. To put that into perspective, a single petabyte could store around 13.3 years of HD video. But even that analogy falls short, because memory isn't just data. It's a rich tapestry of sensory experiences, emotions, and contexts. It's not a static file. It's a living, breathing reconstruction every time you access it. We're not talking about binary code here. We're talking about a symphony of electrical and chemical signals orchestrated to perfection. The implications are profound. If our brains truly possess this much capacity, what are we doing with it? And how do we even begin to utilize such an extraordinary biological tool? This fundamental question drives much of the research into memory, and it's where our journey truly begins. We are just scratching the surface of understanding this incredible organ, but what we've discovered so far is nothing short of miraculous. Encoding, the first step. So, how does all this information actually get into our internal library? It all starts with a crucial process called encoding. Think of encoding as the initial act of converting sensory information, what you see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, into a format that your brain can understand and store. It's like taking raw data and translating it into a language the brain speaks, electrochemical signals. There are different types of encoding, and each plays a role in how well a memory is formed. Acoustic encoding is about sound. Remember that catchy jingle? That's acoustic encoding at work. Visual encoding is about images, remembering a friend's face or a beautiful sunset. But arguably the most powerful form of encoding for long-term memory is semantic encoding. This involves processing the meaning of information, associating it with existing knowledge, and giving it context. For example, if I tell you a new fact, and you relate it to something you already understand, you're semantically encoding it. The more deeply you process information during encoding, the stronger the memory trace will be. This is why cramming for an exam often leads to short-lived memories. You might be using superficial encoding, like simply repeating words, acoustic encoding, rather than truly understanding the concepts, semantic encoding. Active engagement, critical thinking, and making personal connections are all ways to enhance semantic encoding. When you form a new memory, specific neurons fire together repeatedly. This repeated firing strengthens the connections, or synapses, between them, a phenomenon known as long-term potentiation. It's a physical change in the brain, like carving a path in a dense forest. The more you walk that path, the clearer and more defined it becomes. Interestingly, emotion plays a massive role in encoding. Highly emotional events, whether positive or negative, are often encoded with incredible vividness and detail. This is due to the involvement of the amygdala, a brain region deeply linked to emotion, which can essentially tag memories as important, making them more salient and easier to recall. This is why you often remember exactly where you were or what you were doing during significant life events. The brain deems these moments critical and invests more resources into their encoding, ensuring they stick around. Understanding encoding is the first key to unlocking better memory, because if you don't encode it properly, you can't possibly retrieve it later. Storage, where memories reside. Once information has been encoded, it needs a place to live. This brings us to the fascinating process of storage, how memories are maintained over time. Unlike a computer hard drive where a file has a specific address, memories aren't stored in a single, isolated location in the brain. Instead, they are distributed across various brain regions, forming complex networks. This distributed nature makes memory incredibly resilient. If one part of the network is damaged, other parts can still contribute to the retrieval of the memory. Different types of memories are stored in different ways and in different areas. For example, the hippocampus is a crucial structure for forming new explicit memories, memories of facts and events. Think of it as the brain's save button, actively involved in consolidating information from short-term to long-term storage. However, the hippocampus doesn't store these memories permanently itself. Instead, it acts as a temporary index, guiding the formation of connections in the cerebral cortex, where long-term memories eventually reside. Over time, as a memory is repeatedly accessed and consolidated, it becomes less dependent on the hippocampus and more embedded in the cortical networks. This is a process known as systems consolidation. Implicit memories, like knowing how to ride a bike or play a musical instrument, what we call procedural memory, are primarily stored in areas like the basal ganglia and the cerebellum. These are memories of skills and habits, often performed unconsciously. And our emotional memories, often tied to fear or pleasure, are strongly influenced by the amygdala, which can strengthen or weaken the storage of associated memories. The storage process is not static, it's dynamic. Memories can be strengthened or weakened, updated, and even distorted over time. Every time you recall a memory, you're not just retrieving it, you're actively reconstructing it, and in that process, you can subtly alter it. The concept of synaptic plasticity is key here. Memories are literally patterns of strengthened connections between neurons. When you learn something new, new connections are formed, or existing ones are reinforced. If you don't use a memory, those connections can weaken, a process called synaptic pruning, which is essentially how we forget. So, storing a memory isn't about placing a file in a folder. It's about continuously maintaining and reinforcing a vast, interconnected web of neural pathways. It's an active process, requiring ongoing engagement and, surprisingly, even sleep, which plays a critical role in consolidating memories and transferring them into long-term storage. Retrieval, accessing your inner library. So you've encoded a memory, and it's been stored in your brain's vast network. But how do you actually get it back out? This is where retrieval comes in, the process of accessing stored information. It's not as simple as clicking a recall button. Retrieval is an active, reconstructive process that can be influenced by many factors. Think of your brain not as a filing cabinet, but more like a highly interconnected search engine, constantly trying to find the best match for your query. Retrieval cues are incredibly important. These are stimuli that help you access a memory. They can be anything: a smell, a sound, a word, an image, an emotion, or even a thought. For example, hearing a particular song might instantly transport you back to a specific time and place. That song is a powerful retrieval cue. The more retrieval cues you have associated with a memory, the easier it generally is to access. This is why techniques like elaborative rehearsal, where you link new information to existing knowledge and create multiple associations, are so effective in strengthening memory. There are different types of retrieval. Recall is when you retrieve information without cues, like answering an essay question or naming all the US states. It's more effortful. Recognition is identifying information based on cues, like a multiple-choice test or recognizing a face in a crowd. It's generally easier because the information is already there. You just need to identify it. And relearning demonstrates memory even when you think you've forgotten something. You can learn it again much faster than the first time. The brain uses specific neural pathways to retrieve memories. When you recall an event, the neurons that were active during the initial encoding are reactivated. This involves a complex interplay between various brain regions, including the hippocampus, especially for recent memories, the prefrontal cortex for strategic search and evaluation, and the sensory cortices to reconstruct the sensory details of the memory. Each time you retrieve a memory, you're not pulling out an exact replica. You're reassembling it from various stored components. This reconstruction can make memories susceptible to change and even distortion over time. This is why eyewitness testimony, while valuable, can sometimes be unreliable. The phenomenon of tip of the tongue is a perfect example of retrieval difficulty. You know the information, you can almost grasp it, but you just can't quite pull it out. This illustrates that memory is not an all-or-nothing process. It's a spectrum of accessibility. Understanding retrieval helps us appreciate why some memories come to us effortlessly, while others remain elusive, locked away in the vast recesses of our incredible mental library. Short-term versus long-term memory. Not all memories are created equal, and not all information stays with us forever. Our brain employs different systems for handling information over varying durations. Short-term memory and long-term memory. Understanding the distinction between these two is fundamental to grasping how our memory system functions. Short-term memory, STM, sometimes called working memory, is your brain's temporary scratch pad. It's where you hold information actively in your mind for a brief period, typically around 20 to 30 seconds, if you're not actively rehearsing it. Think about looking up a phone number. You hold those digits in your mind just long enough to dial, and then often they vanish. The capacity of STM is also quite limited. George A. Miller, in his famous 1956 paper, suggested the magical number 7 plus or minus 2, meaning we can typically hold about 5 to 9 pieces of information in our short-term memory at any given time. This is why breaking down complex information into smaller chunks, a technique called chunking, is so effective for remembering things like long sequences of numbers or new vocabulary. Working memory is a more active concept, involving not just temporary storage, but also the manipulation of information. It's what you use when you're solving a math problem in your head or following a multi-step instruction. It has different components, including a phonological loop for auditory information, a visuospatial sketchpad for visual and spatial information, and a central executive that controls and directs attention. If information is important enough, and especially if it's deeply encoded and rehearsed, it can be transferred from short-term to long-term memory, LTM. LTM is essentially your brain's permanent archive. Its capacity is believed to be virtually limitless, and memories stored here can last for minutes, days, years, or even a lifetime. The consolidation process, often happening during sleep, is crucial for moving memories from the temporary hippocampal holding area into the more stable cortical networks. This is why a good night's sleep is so important for learning and memory. The transition from STM to LTM involves structural changes in the brain, particularly the strengthening of synaptic connections, a process known as long-term potentiation, which we discussed earlier. It's like moving a draft document from your computer's RAM to its hard drive, but far more complex and dynamic. Without this crucial distinction, our brains would be overwhelmed by the constant influx of sensory data, unable to prioritize and retain the information essential for learning, adapting, and functioning in the world. So, while STM provides us with immediate cognitive resources, LTM builds the rich tapestry of our life experiences and knowledge. Types of long-term memory. Long-term memory isn't a single monolithic entity. It's a complex system with different branches, each responsible for storing distinct types of information. Understanding these categories helps us appreciate the intricate architecture of our mental library. The broadest distinction within long-term memory is between explicit, declarative memory and implicit, non-declarative memory. Explicit memory refers to memories that you can consciously recall and declare. These are memories of facts and events. It's the what and when of your life. Explicit memory is further divided into two main types. Episodic memory. This is your memory for specific events and experiences tied to a particular time and place. It's your autobiographical memory, remembering your last birthday party, your first day of school, or what you had for breakfast. It allows you to mentally re-experience past events. The hippocampus and frontal lobes are heavily involved in episodic memory. Semantic memory. This is your memory for facts, concepts, and general knowledge about the world. It's knowing that Paris is the capital of France, that birds lay eggs, or the meaning of a word. It's not tied to a specific time or place of learning. While often derived from episodic experiences, semantic memory eventually loses its connection to the original learning event. Think of it as your internal encyclopedia. Then we have implicit memory, which refers to memories that are expressed through performance rather than conscious recall. You don't have to consciously think about them, they just happen. It's the how of your life. Implicit memory also has several subtypes. Procedural memory. This is your memory for skills and habits, knowing how to ride a bike, tie your shoes, play a musical instrument, or type on a keyboard. These memories are often learned through practice and repetition and become automatic. The basal ganglia and cerebellum are crucial for procedural memory. Priming. This occurs when exposure to one stimulus influences the response to a subsequent stimulus without conscious guidance. For example, if you recently saw the word doctor, you're more likely to complete the word neur_e as nurse than if you hadn't seen doctor. It speeds up your processing of related information. Classical conditioning. This involves learning through association, where two stimuli are repeatedly paired until a response to one is elicited by the other. Pavlov's dog salivating at the sound of a bell is a classic example. These different types of memory are supported by distinct brain systems, highlighting the brain's incredible specialization. While they often interact and influence each other, their separate mechanisms allow for a robust and flexible memory system, capable of storing everything from your deepest personal experiences to the unconscious skills that navigate your daily life. The process of forgetting. While our brains possess an incredible capacity for memory, forgetting is an equally vital, though often frustrating aspect of the human experience. It's not just a flaw in the system, it's an active process that allows our brains to declutter, prioritize, and make room for new, more relevant information. Imagine if you remembered every single detail of every single moment. Your brain would be overwhelmed by trivial data. There are several theories about why we forget. One of the oldest is decay theory, which suggests that memory traces fade over time if they are not used or rehearsed. Think of it like a path in a forest that slowly gets overgrown if no one walks on it. While simple, decay alone doesn't fully explain forgetting, as some very old, unused memories can sometimes be vividly recalled. Another major theory is interference theory. This proposes that forgetting occurs when other memories get in the way of retrieving the one you want. There are two types: proactive interference. Old memories interfere with the retrieval of new ones. For example, if you learn a new phone number, your old phone number might keep popping into your head. Retroactive interference. New memories interfere with the retrieval of old ones. For instance, learning a new language might make it harder to recall vocabulary from an old language you once knew. Retrieval failure is also a common reason for forgetting. The memory is still there, stored in your brain, but you just can't access it, like the tip of the tongue phenomenon. This often happens because of a lack of appropriate retrieval cues. The context in which you encoded a memory is crucial, and if you try to retrieve it in a very different context, it can be harder. This is known as encoding specificity principle. Finally, motivated forgetting suggests that we sometimes actively or unconsciously suppress memories that are traumatic, painful, or undesirable. While controversial, there's evidence that the brain can sometimes choose not to access certain memories, though the exact mechanisms are still debated. Forgetting isn't just about losing information, it's also about reconsolidation. Every time you retrieve a memory, it temporarily becomes unstable and needs to be resaved or reconsolidated. During this window, the memory can be updated, modified, or even erased. This dynamic process explains why memories aren't static and why our recollection of past events can sometimes change over time. So, while forgetting can be annoying, it's an essential adaptive mechanism, allowing our brains to remain efficient and focused on what truly matters. Enhancing your memory. Given the incredible power of our memory, it's natural to wonder, can we actually make it better? The good news is, absolutely. While some aspects of memory are inherent, there are numerous scientifically backed strategies and habits you can adopt to significantly enhance your ability to encode, store, and retrieve information. One of the most powerful techniques is elaborative rehearsal. Instead of just passively repeating information, try to understand its meaning, connect it to what you already know, and relate it to your own experiences. Ask why and how. The more richly you encode information, the more pathways you create to access it, and the stronger the memory trace will be. For example, if you're learning a new word, don't just memorize its definition. Think of synonyms, antonyms, use it in a sentence, and imagine a vivid scenario where you'd use it. Spaced repetition is another game changer. Instead of cramming, review information at increasing intervals over time. Initially, review new material relatively soon after learning it. Then, gradually increase the time between reviews. This leverages the spacing effect, which shows that distributed practice leads to far better long-term retention than massed practice, cramming. Your brain actively works to consolidate information during these intervals. Mnemonics are memory aids that help you associate new information with easily remembered cues. This could be acronyms like ROY-G-BIV for colors of the rainbow, acrostics, sentences where the first letter of each word helps you remember a list, or the method of loci, the memory palace technique, where you associate items with specific locations in a familiar mental map. These techniques provide powerful retrieval cues. Beyond specific techniques, lifestyle factors play a crucial role. Adequate sleep is paramount. During deep sleep, your brain actively consolidates memories, transferring them from the hippocampus to long-term cortical storage. chronic sleep deprivation severely impairs memory formation. Regular exercise boosts blood flow to the brain, promotes the growth of new neurons, and enhances synaptic plasticity, all of which are beneficial for memory. A healthy diet, rich in antioxidants and omega-3 fatty acids, can also support brain health. And managing stress is vital, as chronic stress can shrink the hippocampus and impair memory function. Finally, active recall is incredibly effective. Instead of just rereading notes, test yourself frequently. Try to retrieve information from scratch. This strengthens the retrieval pathways and helps you identify what you truly know and what you need to review further. By combining these strategies, you can transform your brain into an even more efficient and formidable memory machine. Memory disorders and challenges. While our memory system is incredibly robust, it is also vulnerable to a range of disorders and challenges that can significantly impact our lives. Understanding these conditions not only sheds light on the fragility of memory, but also emphasizes the importance of brain health. Perhaps the most well-known memory disorder is Alzheimer's disease, a progressive neurodegenerative condition that primarily affects memory, thinking, and behavior. It's characterized by the buildup of abnormal protein deposits, amyloid plaques and tau tangles, in the brain, which disrupt neuronal communication and lead to widespread cell death. Early symptoms often include difficulty remembering recent events, names, and new information, eventually progressing to severe cognitive decline. Research into Alzheimer's is a massive field, seeking to understand its causes and find effective treatments. Amnesia is another broad term for memory loss. It can result from brain injury, disease, or psychological trauma. Anterograde amnesia is the inability to form new memories after the onset of the amnesia. Patients with this type of amnesia can recall events from before their injury, but cannot remember anything that happened afterward. The famous case of H.M., whose hippocampus was surgically removed, is a profound example, showing the hippocampus's crucial role in forming new, explicit memories. Retrograde amnesia is the inability to recall memories from before the onset of the amnesia. This can range from forgetting a few moments to decades of one's life. Often, older memories are more preserved than newer ones due to systems consolidation. Memory can also be affected by a variety of other conditions. Stroke can damage specific brain regions involved in memory. Traumatic brain injury, TBI, even mild concussions, can lead to persistent memory problems. Nutritional deficiencies, particularly B vitamins, can impact cognitive function. Even depression and anxiety can significantly impair memory, making it difficult to focus, encode new information, and retrieve existing memories. The challenges of memory highlight the interconnectedness of brain health with overall well-being. From neurodegenerative diseases that slowly erode our sense of self to acute injuries that drastically alter our ability to remember, these conditions underscore the delicate balance required for our memory systems to function optimally. While research continues to push the boundaries of treatment and prevention, supporting brain health through lifestyle choices remains a critical step in preserving our most precious asset, our memories. The future of memory research. As we conclude our journey into the astonishing world of memory, let's look to the future. The field of memory research is one of the most dynamic and exciting areas of neuroscience, constantly pushing the boundaries of what we understand about the human brain. What's on the horizon for unlocking the secrets of our inner library? One of the most promising avenues is neuroimaging. Advanced techniques like fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, and PET, positron emission tomography, allow scientists to observe brain activity in real time, pinpointing the precise regions involved in encoding, storage, and retrieval. Newer technologies like optogenetics allow researchers to activate or deactivate specific neurons with light, providing unprecedented control over neural circuits and opening doors to understanding memory formation at a cellular level. These tools are revolutionizing our ability to map the brain's intricate memory networks. Another exciting area is memory augmentation. Imagine technologies that could enhance memory in healthy individuals or restore it in those with memory disorders. This might involve non-invasive brain stimulation techniques like transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, or transcranial direct current stimulation, TDCS, which can temporarily modulate brain activity in memory-related regions. The ethical implications are significant, but the potential for improving cognitive function is immense. Research into pharmacological interventions continues to evolve. Scientists are investigating new drugs that could target specific neurotransmitter systems to improve memory, particularly for conditions like Alzheimer's disease. While a cure remains elusive, advancements in understanding the molecular mechanisms of memory formation are leading to more refined and targeted therapeutic strategies. Furthermore, the integration of artificial intelligence and machine learning is transforming memory research. AI models can analyze vast datasets of brain activity, identify complex patterns, and even predict memory performance. This synergy between biology and computation is accelerating our understanding of neural codes and how information is represented in the brain. Could we one day create artificial memories or upload consciousness? These are profound questions that remain in the realm of science fiction, but the rapid pace of technological advancement suggests that the boundaries between biological and artificial memory may become increasingly blurred. Ultimately, the future of memory research is about empowering us to not only understand our own cognitive processes, but also to heal, enhance, and perhaps even redefine what it means to remember. The human brain, with its vast, mysterious capacity, continues to be the ultimate frontier of scientific exploration, promising discoveries that will forever change our perception of ourselves and the world around us. And that, my friends, is just a glimpse into the incredible world of the human brain's memory. From the first spark of encoding to the vast archives of long-term storage, our ability to remember is what shapes who we are. It's a universe within, constantly at work, building the rich tapestry of our lives. If you found this deep dive as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more mind-blowing science, and let me know in the comments below what aspect of memory you found most surprising. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.